Subtitles, come on.
At a quiet moment, I hear something shuffling through the purse that's next to me. And this is like 1990s, like my mom's purse, where it's like a bag of crap. She's reaching there. She pulls out. I couldn't tell if it was a foot long chili cheese coney or a Subway sandwich. But she pulls a full foot long thing out and starts eating it. Like, you couldn't wait till someone threw a fireball or something. You had to do it when it was dead quiet in the theater.
Oh my god!
Best friends Trey Sterling and Matt, the film Schmucks.
I feel like, okay, Sterling, start us off. I want to talk about Mortal Kombat.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the film Schmucks. We've got our beloved host, Maddie the Publowski Papacherry. And we also got the Cray Trey, Jefe Blanca himself, Trey Johnson. And today we watched the movie Mortal Kombat. Matt, it kind of seems like to me you were itching to talk about this. And it seemed like you had a rather subpar theater experience. Can you elaborate on that?
Let me tell you.
All I know is there's popcorn involved.
Oh, there's popcorn involved. Let me tell you, I was itching before. I was itching to talk about this, but now I'm gonna be bitching, all right? Because okay, cut that out. But okay, so this is actually the busiest I've seen this theater. I mean, I've gone. I think more than you two have gone to the theaters in the last few months, and not saying much because I think I've only gone to the movies maybe 4 times in the last 6 months or so. And each time the parking lot has gotten progressively more. I'd say when we went, Trey, to see King Kong, that was the fullest I'd seen it yet. There was a lot of cars there. This was like a packed parking lot. Like I couldn't find a parking spot at first. So this was rare. So it's already busy. We go in. There's a huge line. People last minute, Mortal Kombat, Scorpion, Sub-Zero. Who's going to win? And I'm like, what a bunch of nerds. I go straight down the A-list. There's no one in the A-list aisle. Who's going to pay for this shit when there's no movies in the theater? This dumbass. So I walk down the A-list thing, and I get the beep. And then I go over. I'm already 10 minutes late because once again, I pushed it a little too close. Showed up to the theater, picked up my brother. I got to get something to eat. I haven't eaten all day. So I'm like, I get a big old tub of popcorn because that's good on an empty stomach. And then we both get sodas. We go into the theater. They're in the middle of like the first preview. This is what happens now. The showtime will say, so I went at 5:30. I walk into the theater at 5:40. They're in the what I'm assuming is maybe the first actual trailer because we watched 3 trailers and that seems about fitting.
Okay.
So it's all these ads or whatever. So we go in, it's The Conjuring 3 or whatever. And I mean, they really are jumping the shark on this one. Because it's starting to look like, it's starting to become straight up fantasy. Before it was like, hey, I'm demon possessed or whatever. But this one is great, loopy. We go, I'm hyping the story up too much. It's not a great story. Here's what happens. And this will kind of get into the movie a little bit. The opening of the movie, Scorpion, he's got his family. He's, I don't even remember his actual name, Hayao Miyazaki or something.
Hanshin or something?
Hanshin, yeah. So he's there with his beautiful family. It's this great scene. The subtitles come on. Well, first of all, I should say this. The seat, anytime you order any seats right now in theaters, they automatically take one seat to the right and the left of you for social distancing.
Yeah.
The seat to the right of me is open or whatever, but there's a purse in it.
That happened with us.
It happened the other time too. People aren't paying attention. Now, I actually think it's worse. The time we went to King Kong vs. Godzilla, a guy sat down next to us, and I think he just couldn't
lost.
see a seat, and he got frustrated and sat down. So it's annoying. He shouldn't have done it, but it's forgivable. This lady is using the social distance seat as I don't know, a kitchen table. Okay, and this is important for later, but just keep that thought that this purse is sitting there, okay? So it's her and her fit. By the way, there are so many kids in this theater. I mean, it was bizarre.
Oh, my.
I'm not kidding, because the lady next to me and her, I think like her teenage daughter, and then like 2 little kids. So the movie starts. It's real dramatic. It's real serious. I'm leaning in close. I'm eating the popcorn, and you just hear like, you know, and it says at the bottom like, "I love you. You're my favorite wife," or whatever. And then then I hear to the right of me, "I'm blessed. This is your favorite wife," or whatever. And I'm like, that's weird. Is there an echo in here? And then like, you know, she's like, you forgot, you know, in the movie, she's like, we need 2 buckets of water or whatever. Go get the water. And then the girl over there, 2 buckets of water. She's reading the subtitles out loud to her kids.
To her kids, right?
To her kids. If your kids aren't old enough to read, maybe you don't take them to Mortal Kombat. That's my suggestion for you. They can, and here's the thing, and maybe this is a testament to that opening scene. I don't even think you need to know, because you visually you kind of know what's going on. You don't even need to read them. I couldn't pay attention because I'm hearing this bitch read them back to me. I didn't want the audiobook version of Mortal Kombat. Okay, I didn't want the novelization. I'm here to watch, baby. So
Matt,
anyway,
I've actually been in a similar situation.
Let him finish. Ask
I
me
know,
more.
but
well, I want to
I'm just saying.
because Eric had a similar story in the past too. But so that's going on, and it's I get bothered by that kind of stuff more than other people. So let me just say that other people don't seem to get so bothered by theater etiquette. I'm an asshole.
Oh, it's annoying.
I get real annoyed when I'm trying to get into a movie. I'm glad it was like Mortal Kombat, a more, you know, fun kind of movie, because if it was something I really seriously was trying to watch, like Return of the King or something, I would have been really pissed off. But but anyway, so that's going on, and like, not whispering. You would think it'd be like, you know, you'd hear a little. I mean, it was like there was not a whisper. It was like out loud, like not loud, but like it was not a whisper. It was really annoying. So she's reading the subtitle. Whenever I saw Americans, and this is not racial, but as soon as I saw Americans, I was like, thank God, because I didn't want to hear her repeat the subtitles. I was honestly glad they were speaking English. And so the movie, you know, you get into the movie. Now, first, there's a couple of things that happen throughout the movie that need to be mentioned. First of all, anytime she laughed at everything, loudly. Everything. Everything Kano said, she laughed at. Every single thing. Look, there was some funny moments in the movie, but she was laughing at like you know, and I hate it when people over laugh in a movie, especially when it's stuff that's not even supposed to be funny and you're laughing. So
yeah.
So that's going on. Secondly, loud eating. I don't know if they brought. I mean, it was like a banquet. It was a feast for kings over there. I don't know what they were eating. And then here's the thing. Tense part of the movie. I'll spoiler alert to anybody. Kind of. I'll just be vague. The most climactic fight scene in the movie that happens in the gym. You know, there's a parts there where it's a little quiet, gets a little quiet. You know, as the intense parts are happening. At a quiet moment, I hear something shuffling through the purse that's next to me. And this is like 1990s, like my mom's purse, you know, where it's like a bag of crap. She's reaching there. She pulls out. I couldn't tell if it was a foot-long chili cheese coney or a Subway sandwich. But she pulls a full foot-long thing out and starts eating it. I'm like, you couldn't wait till someone threw a fireball or something? You had to do it when it was dead quiet in the theater?
Oh my God! You're making this up.
So I'm not making any of this up. I'm not even really. I'm honestly. I mean, I might be exaggerating a little bit of how pissed I am, but everything I'm saying is 100% accurate. I don't know exactly what she pulled out of the bag. It was a food item because she unwrapped it and ate it. But it was
a sandwich.
It looked like a sandwich or maybe like a chili cheese dog or something. It was a long one. It was a long.
Oh my God!
So that's when I was like, I should have just done the HBO Max. I should have sat at home but those, there were some bad moments. There were some bad moments there. I wanted to get that out of the way off the top so that when we get into the movie, that way I can just get it off my chest so we can just talk about the movie when we talk about it. Because otherwise I'll be stopping every 2 seconds and being like, this bitch over here repeated that line and she said this and that. She started clapping at one point.
She clapped?
She clapped during one of the fatalities. I don't remember which.
Was she like a grandma, like an old lady,
It
like
was
60s?
I don't know, but the weird thing was I think she was like a Mortal Kombat fan
Oh wow.
because she was like got really excited at very specific Mortal Kombat kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
And she brought her 8-year-old kids to the theater?
It was like maybe like a 13-year-old daughter or 12-year-old and then like a little kid, like a small
Oh my
like
god, they're
couldn't read, like a
traumatized.
toddler. Oh my god.
So
Anyway,
did she sit in the seat next to you or use it as a food tray? Is that what you said?
yeah, so it's like Eric, me, one seat open, her. The seat that's open has her purse on it that she pulled the chili cheese
Oh,
dog
I
out
don't.
of.
That's not bad. That's okay. I don't mind that.
Well,
Yeah.
you didn't have to hear her scrounging through the purse in the middle of the movie. So
Fat in it. That's not as bad
No,
as
yeah,
that
you're
homeless guy
right.
like walked in that
Yeah,
theater.
that was weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
the methed out guy.
But,
Yeah.
All
but
right.
what did you think about the movie?
10 minutes later, I love this story.
Oh yeah. It was okay.
I was like,
No,
like I said, the mic drink.
it's weird. I watched the trailer, and this is what I felt on the trailer. I was like, this looks kind of Hollywood, but it also looks kind of cool. Like there's some cool stuff there. So when I saw the movie, it was about what I expected. I was like, it's kind of a Hollywood. We're making a movie out of a video game, but it was also kind of cool at the same time. So they got some things that were really cool, and then it was entertaining. I'll watch if they do a second one, I'll watch it. I think that's the best way I can say. I did enjoy it. I did. It never hit a lull really to me. I would say that there's some like. This is a heavy nitpick one for me. There's a lot of discussion we could have because there's some stuff that I'm like, well, how did this work or how does this happen? But overall, I thought the movie was for like a Hollywood kind of, movie. It was pretty good, and it was satisfying. But yeah, I have some complaints, but I think we'll get into it as we go.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that the first scene to kind of get into a little bit, the first 10-15 minutes of it with the Scorpion, we find out. I don't know anything about this, but I felt like this was gonna be like amazing, like great acting. The cinematography for the beginning scene was great. Like I did not expect that. Uh, Throughout the movie, the action's really good. Some better than others, but for the most overall, really good. But there's some really good scenes, like great scenes. Um, but yeah, there's some scene like some acting in this movie that's bad that gets sprinkled in there with some good acting, like not great acting, but like I just think overall it was for what it is, Mortal Kombat. It's actually was pretty good for what it could have been. I mean, what we've gotten in other video games. Let's kind of narrow it down to video game movies
Mm-hmm.
before. So I was overall impressed. I love the ending, or the last battle, I should say. I could have been bigger hits, and there was more like a lot of dramatic stuff they did, because he comes back from hell, Spoiler alert. But yeah, there's some nitpick stuff I got there. I mean, we'll get into it. Maybe you'll say something to remind me, but yeah, overall was actually liked it more than I thought I was going to. I'll say this because we're gonna jump into it. I would rather have had an actual tournament in the movie than what they did, but I get why they did it because they explained it like, oh, let's separate them. But for me, I just like it would have been cooler because the trailers kind of showed it as a tournament. like this person goes, which it kind of was. Like not like I don't know, I can't kind of compare to like Karate Kid, like not that kind of style, but the trailer kind of portrayed it differently than it was, which what it was, but that's okay. Um, but and the other thing I would say before we move on, I apologize, is I, I I'm sorry, I forgot. But yeah, the tournament. Certainly take over because I,
Okay,
I lost my train of thought.
you're good. You're good. That's why you call it the Cray train, right? Anyway,
Oh
uh,
my,
over overall thoughts. I really didn't have any expectations other than I wanted cool fights because I don't really know much about the lore of Mortal Kombat. I played a couple of the games, and the fatalities are always cool looking. So that's kind of what I was looking for, like well executed fights with good fatalities. And I got that. So as far as my overall thoughts, I think the movie did what I wanted it to. And in a couple aspects that we'll get into a little bit later, I think it actually kind of exceeded my expectations just a little bit in some areas. But I don't think it's I don't know if I can call it a good movie. I think it's a solid movie. I think the acting at times is a little cheesy. There's a little bit of lore that didn't really make sense to me. I will get into a little bit later. But yeah, I think for what it is, the action is pretty good. Now, I will say I've been spoiled with John Wick and the Raid movies because after seeing such great fights like that, it's really hard to top that. So it didn't quite reach that level. But for what it is, the fight scenes are pretty good overall. And the acting is serviceable, I would say. And that's all I could ask for with this movie. So let's get this discussion rolling.
Do you want to? I think we could start just talking about the story because I think
oh that was yeah.
so. I know maybe a little more about the lore of the games. I've played a lot of the Mortal Kombat games, and I've even like went through and like specifically read through and like watched to try to figure out what the lore was to the game in the past. So I'm fuzzy on it a little bit. Here's as far as I understand, I might get some of this wrong and I'll get lambasted in the comments, but they kind of got the tournament shit completely accurate where it's like, okay, you have to do like 10 tournaments and there's these different realms and they do the tournament, and if you beat one realm 10 times in the tournaments, then you can take it over, and all that. And I think what surprised me about the movie is the lore it can be super complicated in Mortal Kombat. Like there's characters die and come back to life, and their souls being taken over. Some characters merge together. This movie, considering how crazy the video game lore is, this movie did a decent job where you, at least for the story you're following, you know what's going on. I felt like I knew what was going on in the movie. I never was like, what's going on? Like, what's going on with the tournament? It's like there's some characters that are confusing. Like, well, where did they go and how did that work? But as far as the core story, it never got overly complicated or confusing for what I expected. Yeah. I feel like that's what this whole movie is to me. It's like I expected it to be. I just felt like there's a good way and a bad way to go on like all of these different things they did in the movie, and they somehow were just barely kind of like surprising me with, oh, okay, they actually did this without making it too convoluted, so.
Yeah, well, you guys touched on it a little bit, but I do want to say I think it is probably my favorite part of the movie overall. The opening is really good. Like I was like pretty hooked from the beginning. I mean, I'm a sucker for feudal Japan era type stuff, like Last Samurai, all that kind of stuff, and they have the same actor from Last Samurai in this, which I really like that actor. I can't remember his name, but he's really good. And yeah, just that the opening with the setting, the choreography was really good. Also, like even though it was only like a 10-minute opening sequence, I felt really bad for him whenever he was crawling to try to get to his son, or to get to his child. Like, I don't know, the way his acting was portrayed and just the way they executed that scene, like, it kind of got me a little emotional as far as like, man, this sucks. Like, he was just with his family and then he just gets straight up murdered. Um, yeah, first impressions was really good.
Yeah. I would add. I kind of remember what I was kind of going for earlier. Kind of going along with the lore part of it, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was they tease a lot of stuff because I don't know anything about the lore. Him being in hell, and we obviously I didn't expect like the trailer showed him being there at the end, but in the movie you're not thinking about that, and he shows up from hell, so that's kind of cool. I felt like they rushed it. I think because it was an hour and 50 minutes, so it was like, or hour 40, not including credits. So they were rushing through a lot, which was one of its weaknesses. Like when they're trying to find their powers, it was like I'm like thinking like we only have like an hour left. How are they going to fit all this in? And they
Yeah.
really couldn't. And that's what that was, like I said, their weakness was. They just like kind of rushed a lot of things. And obviously, I wish we would have seen the Thunder guy a lot more than we did. But hopefully, the
Oh
sequel will
yeah.
show him.
We didn't get to see him
But I
fight
was,
really.
yeah, yeah. But I was thinking this could be a great 10-part series. Like they, if they would have done this as a 10-part series on HBO Max and put the similar money into the budget,
Yeah.
this could have been like they could have, drawn out some other story arcs, better acting. Like they could have worked on the acting, maybe like the better directors. Because it's not always the actor's fault, but um. So I was thinking I'm like an hour 45 50 minute movie, not so great, but a series would have been way better. But now I will watch the second one for sure because obviously they probably hopefully they can improve upon the weaknesses they
Yeah.
had in this movie. So I'm
Yeah.
excited, but I thought a series could have been, or a series could be really good.
Well, I think the length at the time kind of showed their budget a little bit because
Mm.
the budget was $50 million, which is kind of low.
Yeah.
What? Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think obviously that kind of plays into the runtime, and some of the effects, weren't quite up to par, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now most of them are good, and it's not really that distracting when you can kind of tell it is like two CGI.
It
But
it seemed
yeah,
like they went all out on the actual fatalities, and that was a good
yeah,
place to put the money into on the CGI, because a lot of those scenes were like the coolest looking.
yeah.
Some of the gore and stuff.
No, I think so, and that's where they should put it with the money they have.
Yeah.
So hopefully the sequel they'll obviously the box office is going to determine it, but hopefully they'll get a maybe a times two budget on this
I think
and actually
especially
go
since
for
it
it.
had a low budget, I have high feelings because it's the besides King Kong, this is the second big movie to be back in theaters, and with a low budget like that. I mean, I don't know what the budget was on Kong versus Godzilla, but I'm sure it was way bigger, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think this
Yeah.
is going to get a good hope. I mean, I don't know, but it seems promising to me that we will get the sequel. Um, and
I mean,
they look
yeah.
like they expected to almost, because there's a lot of. I mean, I was watching the movie and I'm like, there's some they're missing some characters. They use some characters where I was like, there's obviously more popular characters than this they could have used. Why did they use this? I was wondering where Johnny Cage was the whole movie, and then they allude to that at the end. So I do think that they almost expected to have a sequel, which means that they're probably already have it figured out, or at least planning it. But
I'm kind of curious. Like, what did both of you think about? What was his name? Kano? Was that his name? The
Yeah.
Russian mercenary?
Australian.
He had. Oh, sorry, Australian. I don't know why I said Russian.
Well, because they
Anyway,
make a joke in the movie. That's probably why you did it.
yeah, but no, he. Some of his lines didn't quite land for me, but some of them did.
Yeah.
He was kind of
He was,
he was kind of
That's
mixed.
exactly how I felt.
They gave him a lot.
He was like the Flash in Snyder Cut, where it's like, hey, this is the funny character, so every single line that we write for this person has to be funny. And that's what it felt like. Now, there was times where it was like, oh, okay. And then there was times where I was like, okay, that was actually funny. And I have to give credit to the guy for what the lines and stuff that he had. His delivery was good. Like, considering the line, because I think most of the misses would have had to do with the writing of being shitty jokes, but he did his best, his damn best at, like, getting those lines out and making them pretty funny.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think, Trey?
About the, I got lost with you guys talking about it. About Kano, about
The Australian.
Yeah, well, his
I
overall character.
Yeah, I love Kano. I mean, he had a couple too many lines because like the old adage is you throw enough crap against the wall, you just see what sticks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so obviously there's always a twist in the movie. He's the reason they break the barrier and they get in and whatever. So, but yeah, for his lines, some stuck the landing and some fell through the cracks. So. I mean, I wish he would be in the sequel. Then there's no that gnome took it out of him. So,
well, it is Mortal Kombat, so he could be in the sequel. But
if he fights his way
well,
through
yeah,
hell.
that's what we talked about. Very vague on like because the main bad guys like they're not dead. They're moving on to another portal. Or like what?
Yeah.
So I don't know the lore. I'm not sure how that all works. The guy died in the beginning. He came back to get revenge. So you're right. Kano's probably coming back, and Sub-Zero's coming back. It's like, come on, I don't like them.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like kind of Greek mythology. Like it's Hades. It kind of reminds me of God of War a little bit because if you played the God of War games, Kratos dies like 5 times during that whole trilogy, and he fights his way through Hades to come back. So it kind of gave me that.
And it was tough for Scorpion because they did that thing with the blood of his ancestor and all that, so he came back. But the other people, they have Shao Kahn, the main bad guy, on their side. Raiden, he can teleport anyone anywhere, basically. So it's in this world that play. I don't even know if it's actually technically called Hell, but it's a realm, just like the other realms. So Shao Kahn.
Outer world? Are you talking about the? Are you talking about the outer world or where the dead go?
Outworld is Shao Kahn's world. It's different. That's like that deadly world. But then there is the other realm, which is Hell, basically. So I think,
where the dead go.
Yes, and so I think Shao Kahn can take people out of there if he wants to, because he can suck souls up or something. I don't know. I'm not an expert on all that either, but
so the main villain in this, he's not Shao Kahn. He's someone else.
He's not?
Right.
Huh?
I looked up his name. It didn't say Shao Kahn. So
okay.
I don't know.
Well, that makes sense. I was just
What's his
assuming that it
name?
was.
Yeah. He fights for Shao Kahn, right? I think you're right. I think they talk about Shao Kahn, don't they?
I honestly don't remember his name.
Well, they showed the armor
in
Shao
subtitles.
Kahn. They showed the armor.
We all just watched this movie. How do we not know this?
I don't know.
Come on,
well,
guys.
I just assumed it was supposed to be the whole time.
Yeah. So what did Wikipedia say his name is? Sterling. What's the bad guy's name?
I honestly can't. Here's the thing. As far as name drops, if there was like name drops in this movie, honestly, I wouldn't have caught it as well, because I'm not attached to this this world, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah, we all aren't. Fact checker Matt, what do you got?
Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the main bad guy?
No, the main bad guy in Mortal
series?
Kombat is Shao Kahn.
So what is Shao Kahn's power?
Shao Kahn. Well, let's not even get caught up into it because we could go on a whole rabbit trail that's not very entertaining.
rabbit hole, yeah. So hopefully Shao Kahn is in the next one
that's
and he
probably
get his
what
ass
it
beat.
is.
Yeah, I feel like that was
Anyway,
implication.
I do want to say this.
Is the lightning guy a good guy? Like, is he like one of the
He's
main
the
good
defender of
guys?
Earth, yeah. Raiden.
Okay, all right. Yep.
So I do want to say this about Kano before we leave the subject on him. Here's this thing almost breaks the movie for me. It doesn't, but this is out of all the Hollywood cheesy lines, this is the cringiest thing they did in the movie. Is first Kano rips the heart out of Reptile. I don't think it was actually supposed to be the character Reptile, but it was just a reptile creature. And then he says, Kano wins, And you're like, that's cringy. But they tried to do it like the video game. You're like, okay, well, Kano's a weird character. Maybe he'd say something like that. And then, and the best fatality, in my opinion, in the movie was Kung Lao, I think.
Kung Lao.
Kung Lao. Yeah, sorry. Kung Lao using the razor blade to kill the flying chick. That was so cool. But then he does his little hat and he goes, flawless victory. And now I'm like, now you're like, that doesn't even make sense for anybody to say. Why would you say that? It was so cheesy for them to try to put that from the video game in. And then I thought it was over. I thought I'd seen the cheesiest. And then Liu Kang does the fire demon thing. And you're like, okay, cool, badass. He catches Cabal on fire. And then I was like, did I hear that correctly? While his body's burning, you just hear him go, a fatality. And he said it himself. This was for the other guy. Well, that was cheesy to me. I'm like, okay, did you have to be so on the nose constantly? Like, when they did test your might, they worked it in a little bit. It was like, yeah, you'll come here and try to learn your powers and you'll test your might. It's like, okay, we get it. It's in the song. They had to do it. But they didn't even try to be subtle with those other ones. It was bizarre.
They didn't at all. Here's the thing. Initially, it was super cheesy. By the time they did Fatality, I don't know. I was like, you know what?
I'm with it now.
Who cares? Like, here's the thing. It would have been much cheesier if like a random narrator said Fatality, or like, if he said any of that.
Yeah.
Like the video game. It's like, who the fuck is saying this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that.
It was cringy, but it was also like, you kind of just go, okay, you know what? That's the movie I'm watching, and I'm cool with it. Like, you just kind of accept what you're watching, and the fights. Speaking of fatalities, the fights. There was a lot of like training and running around and like stuff going on. There was actually less fighting than I thought. And I don't want to be this person, but the Red Band trailer of the movie pretty much showed every fatality in the trailer. I thought we'd be getting more in the movie, but the movie didn't have... I was waiting... There was some cool things. Obviously, the razor blade cutting the girl in half was awesome. Goro's guts falling out was awesome when he got his arm cut off. That was awesome. But, so...
Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero.
He takes the blood, freezes the blood, turns it into a kunai.
But that was in the trailer.
Let's talk about the...
I know. It's still awesome.
Yeah.
What about the one that could have ended this whole series and taken out the main bad guy with her supersonic pink blast that took out that one Python chick?
Yeah.
Took her like... That's a powerful guns right there. My goodness. Why didn't you just shoot the guy in the face at the end while he's talking? Like, because, the lightning guy is like, he talks too much. How about the side beam over here? Take him out. Like, come on. What the hell?
That's another nitpick of mine is why I must have missed something, but why? When Cole Young goes after Sub-Zero when he takes his family hostage. Um,
Yes.
why didn't Raiden? Why didn't he transport everyone else? Everyone else was done fighting, right? Like
Yeah.
he could have just transported because that was the ultimate plan. I understand we want a one-on-one fight. I get that, but as far as a nitpick, it's like
Yeah, that was actually
they're
part of their plan. Well,
yeah, and they
but let
didn't
me
do
say
it.
this though.
But real quick, they it's not like he said during that realm, he's like, all right, you go take him out, come back and let us know. And they just sit there for 20 minutes while they fight. All right, now it's your turn. I think he did it all at once. But they obviously needed to show it all, one by one. But I think the thing is that it was all happening at the same time, those
But
fights.
also consider this because they show up right after Sub Zero. Well, no, wait. Let's rewind here for a second. They are all fighting at the same time, but Sub Zero shows up and has the bracelet, and Cole runs into the thing. I
You
think
know
what
what?
I
You're
think what
right.
Sterling's
You're
saying
right.
is why didn't Raiden just go zip? We're all here.
Yeah,
I
you're right.
Here's
No,
what
you're
I
right. They were
think.
done fighting, so side beam could have went with.
But here's
Yeah,
here's
you're
my
right.
fan theory. This isn't
You're
a
right.
fan
Never
theory.
mind.
This is probably maybe this is it. Tell me what you think. He gives him the kunai, the knife or whatever, right? And says, Scorpion fights with you. Raiden knew that there was a battle, or he knew about the prophecy, right? They were trying to stop the prophecy. Maybe the reason he didn't show up was he knew that Cole in this battle would end up summoning Scorpion, and that would fulfill the legacy or whatever. So maybe it was on purpose that he didn't bring the people.
Okay, so well,
Because
I guess yeah, because Raiden said he couldn't interfere
Yeah.
like in battles between different realms, but it's like there was kind of a gray area with all that.
Yeah.
Kind of confusing a little bit, but
that is
I
true.
don't. Yeah,
Like what? How does interfere? Like what counts as interfering? Because he teleported people from different realms at the same time.
Yeah.
hey,
Who was their
hey,
Uber? Like, how guilty
yes.
is he?
Uh, I mean, the main villain, he didn't give a shit about the rules. I guess
No.
the
Yeah.
good guy God doesn't care about the rules either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to an extent, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't look at them as rules. He looks at them as guidelines.
Yeah. Yep. So is there like an overall
Ole.
powerful being that's in charge? Like they mentioned the gods. I didn't hear you, Matt. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah,
They talk about the gods. Why aren't the gods interfering? Who are the gods?
Well,
yeah.
he is
I'm
one. Raiden's
So those
one.
two are gods, like the lightning guy
They're
and the,
gods
the,
of
the
the
soldier.
realm. I think they're gods of those realms.
But
okay.
but but they mentioned several times like they haven't come to stop me. Like because
Maybe. Well, dude, this is what I mean by Mortal Kombat has this really crazy lore. If you read the original lore, it's like you're reading the Bible or something. It's like in the beginning of time there was these two people fighting or whatever, and that created these. So like, I don't know about any of that. The
but
gods or what's.
I'm saying is they both mention it several times about how the gods could come stop him and like they don't
Right.
they don't you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Like there should
so
be
are
some other higher force that's like
yeah,
regulating
so
this shit.
are they saying there's more powerful beings that are the bosses?
I don't know. I'll tell
I
you.
hope
Well, go ahead because I might change the
I hope
subject.
they're in the sequel. That's all. Go ahead.
I think we might be able to get more on that in the sequel because I think what we knew in this movie served the purpose for the story, which was basically Cole's story. Really,
Yeah.
I think that we knew enough, so maybe they'll be able to get more into it, having a little
Yeah,
more time. Um,
there's good foundation
yeah,
for so which is why I think this movie is an overall success. But I'm just kind of curious. The tournament, uh, was that set up by one god, or was that kind of like set up as a committee by all the gods? Do you know
I,
that at all?
I don't know.
I
I
would
don't remember
assume.
the
I
origin of
say
the
it's
actual
a
tournament,
committee.
but I think so.
Okay,
I don't know
I was
much
Because
just
they
about
curious.
that.
talk about it as an ongoing thing, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think
yeah,
Well,
I don't
it
know. I just
happens over the course of like hundreds of years or something too. Like because they've defeated Earthrealm 9 times or something, but that's like I think that's over the course of like thousands of years or something, or hundreds, I
and
guess.
then so when you win the tournament 10 times, I know they kind of said this in the movie, but I was just trying to make it clear. When you win 10 times, then the realm that beat you 10 times in a row, they can basically dominate you,
They
like
just
they
take
rule
over
over
your
you.
realm, yeah.
Okay, okay. Well,
it was very vague.
When you say
Yeah.
it out loud, it sounds kind of stupid, Sterling.
hey, hey, I'm not the one that spelled combat with a K. Okay.
It's that spelled wrong. That
Yeah,
I
I,
gotta.
um,
I I cracked up at that moment. I thought that was a funny
That was
line.
funny. Yeah. I mean, they kind of
I,
had to acknowledge it, right? Because it would have been weird if it was like, oh, I got a slew of nitpicks. But speaking of Cole in that scene, here's a quick nitpick. He talks to his wife and kid, right? He's like, I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna keep getting hunted unless I go. I gotta go figure out who this Sonya chick is. I'm gonna go check it out. He goes to Sonya's place. She explains everything, and then before he goes and sees his family again, he's like, "Let's get on the next plane out of town." Like, they either skip. I think they just skipped ahead. But it was a funny thing where, like, the last thing the family knows, Cole's just like, hey, there's this girl named Sonya. I got to go see what she knows. And next thing you know, he's agreed to fight in this tournament. He's jumping out of an airplane. He doesn't see him
yeah,
again until way later, until Goro shows up,
yeah,
basically.
Uh,
that was weird. Yeah,
Not very smooth. If I was his wife, I would be like, "Oh, Sonya, huh?" Like,
Who's this
I'd be
bitch?
a little suspicious.
Yeah.
oh
But
man.
Here's a major nitpick,
oh,
if you don't mind. Well,
here we go.
it's not really a nitpick. It's just a discussion thing. Because I'm not saying there's necessarily something wrong here, but it's just the whole Okana thing, which is what they called like, oh, we got to figure out our powers.
Like their chakras.
I could be wrong. I don't think that. I think that is in this movie, and the birthmarks. By the way, I don't think that's a Mortal Kombat video game thing. That people are chosen with that birthmark.
Yeah.
But that's actually one of the things. I think it was kind of a necessary thing in the movie that they did the Okana, because otherwise, how do you explain that they can use different abilities and stuff if they're from Earthrealm? But here's the nitpick I have. The most major part that is noticeable is Jax. Jax triggers his Okana or whatever, right? And his arms turn into the classic cyborg arms that we know and love. But it's mechanical. Is it magic or is it mechanical? Because like I'm pretty sure in the games, Jax he loses his arms and then it's the U.S. government or whatever recreates like robot arms. I don't think it had anything to do with chakra.
It's science so advanced it looks like magic. That's the explanation.
Okay, Thor.
Well, that's a good question. What would have his power been if he didn't had both arms? Like, would his arms turn into that
If
anyway?
he had, that's a good point. Would he turn into Colossus or something? Like, what happens if he had both arms?
Yeah.
It's just coincidentally.
Which, by the way, that was a brutal way to lose his arms.
That was awesome. That was really cool. Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah.
I got a
Go ahead,
question.
Trey.
Sorry, at the beginning, okay, that's one thing. Another nitpick. I do not like that we see the face and meet Sub-Zero right away. I love the scene. I don't like that we get to see his face, and I don't. I wish they would not have said that Sub-Zero like showed his power. I wish they would have showed him kill him and kill his family without his power, and then in the future, I'm Sub-Zero, and he takes his mask off, and you know that was him in the beginning. You know, I wish there was more of a reveal.
Yeah.
When because I don't know that Sub-Zero when he's like talking to the wife and kid. and his hand. I thought that Sub-Zero was coming, like, gonna hit that guy, but it turns out that is Sub-Zero. But when he's doing that to his hand and his head's bleeding,
That was
are
confusing.
they saying, like, A, how far back is this? And B, are they saying that this is Sub-Zero learning his powers and starting his journey to become Sub-Zero? Because his like hand turns ice and it bleeds and he lets it go. Like, is it him learning his powers? Like, what did you guys take from that?
That's what I took from it, was that he was maybe just starting to learn those abilities, because yeah, it was just that little tiny spike on his hand, whereas in the future he's got like the sword, he can command the rain and stuff. So I guess it was just, maybe that was just when he was learning. I honestly, at first, because I didn't know who was supposed to be who or what was going on, I thought that the kid was going to be Sub-Zero. And the reason, and so when his hand was like icy, I thought that was the kid like using his power to defend the family for a second. So it kind of
Oh,
confused me.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I thought that too. Um, I kind of wanted to. Well, it was that all you wanted to say, Trey? Because I was gonna move
Well,
on to something.
is that what you took from that scene that he was learning his powers?
Yeah, I guess now that I think about it, yeah. In the moment, I didn't think that. I kind of thought, I don't know. I kind of thought maybe he was not learning his power. Like he had already learned his powers, but maybe he was kind of the prodigy of his clan or something. Yeah, that's kind of what
Okay.
I took from it. So,
Okay.
um, but I wanted to say, and I think Trey, you touched on it in your opening statement, but the I understand what you mean by like you kind of wish it was more kind of a traditional kind of tournament,
Hmm.
and I definitely think the sequel, if it does come out, will do that for sure.
Hmm.
But I thought it was kind of clever in a way, the way they
Yeah.
set up their version of a tournament,
Yeah.
um, because it was a pretty good plan to split up, the bad guys and kind of divide and conquer that way. And it made you feel like, oh, we're okay. This is more. This is like watching the video game, one-on-one fights.
Yeah.
So I do think for what they were going for, it did succeed overall.
How useless was that guy with the hammer?
I don't
How
even
dumb
know
was
that
that guy?
character. That's one of the guys I was talking about. I'm like, they couldn't have put someone else there. I mean, there's a lot of guys in that.
I thought he was the guy with four arms because they gave him like the same haircut. I'm like, does he
Right.
transform when he's mad like the Hulk?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like confused.
And then his
You
head
know
popped like a pimple. That was
that?
awesome.
Oh yeah, that
Oh,
was great.
all of the fatalities were cool in this. I mean, they were all really
Yeah,
cool. And man, yeah, him just smashing the guy's head. By the way, that spot where they fought, that bridge, that is like straight up one of the locations from the video games.
it looked
It
like
looked
it.
just like it. Okay, I gotta ask this real quick, and I might be crazy, but comment below if I'm crazy or if you guys noticed this in the movie. There was a part when Kano first gets revenge, right? And or not revenge, but when he turns heel, right? And he shoots. There's a part when they're taking over and they're beating the shit out of everyone, and Kano just uses his laser and some rocks fall off of a top thing, and it looked like there was like rebar like spikes where the rocks fell.
Really?
Maybe I'm crazy, but I was like, oh boy, we're gonna get a classic Mortal Kombat spike death. They're gonna kick someone down there, and they're gonna. But then I felt crazy because it never showed it again. I'm like, did I just imagine that? But it was also around the time I got up to pee, so.
You did, and now you got to pee.
This is why you got to go watch at HBO Max, Matt. This is why.
No, that's why you gotta go pee before you go into the
No,
theater,
I
my
think
friend.
I peed at a good time this time. This would be a whole segment. Matt's pee break.
Even the worst possible time in the movie. Godzilla movie.
Okay, yeah, I went. Yeah, well, no. What?
You've checked off all the boxes of the worst theater experience. Like
Well, I was
the
really
cherry,
thirsty.
the cherry
I was
on top.
really
You going
thirsty, and
taking a
I
piss
got a
break.
big old root beer, vanilla root beer. I sucked that puppy down, dude. I got a small bladder too. Let's be frank. So, well, I should have went before too because I hadn't peed in a while. So, we were late, so I didn't think about it. I just went in, but okay, I think I peed at. I think I peed at a good time. It was right around when they. It was right around when they started doing the training. When I left, Charlize Theron lookalike was
Got kicked
yeah.
out.
I thought it was her at first, and I kept going, nah, that's not her. It just looks like her. But when
Yeah.
Jax was there, it's like, what can I do? Can we do anything to help Jax? And then he's like, you must be a patient. And then I went pee, and when I came back, he was like punching the bag. So like what I think I missed was Cole and Kung Lao fighting. I think I
There's a
missed
big
because he
space
gets
between
cut.
when.
No, I'm conflating stuff. I left. I think when I came back, he had a big cut, and the guy was sewing it up, and then it showed
Okay.
Jax punching, so or
Yeah.
whatever. So I think I just missed them fighting in the little pit trying to get
That's
there.
okay. That was a boring scene. There was some slow parts in this movie. For a short movie, there were, and that goes to show that they. It's weird saying this. They did rush it because they had slow parts where they had her talking about his arms, and then when she came and sat down and Cole, you guys are saying his name is the main guy. What are you looking at? And he shows his family on the phone. I'm like, oh my god, why? We don't care. We want to see deaths. I did not care one iota about the
Yeah,
side,
well,
the family, about all their life's problems, about the military, about how she doesn't get Jackson. I don't care, I don't care about all their problems, man. Just kill some things, all right? Like that's another reason why the story was so weak because they tried to sprinkle in, like in the Godzilla Kong stuff. Why are we even
it was
bothering with
serviceable.
the
It was
human?
serviceable.
No, 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 those no. I
It was
disagree
serviceable.
vehemently.
It was
I've
serviceable.
seen I've seen way worse, way worse.
No, I'm not saying this is the worst. I'm just saying, why are they even trying to? They know the fans, they know the audiences. They don't like just empty airtime. They just get to the point, give them what they want, and they did that
Well,
for the most part. But there's two specific
yeah.
scenes. Them talking about his arms, and then talking about like, what's on your phone? You got a selfie? How do you get service here? Like,
Wow, that 5G can really go anywhere.
Yeah, I just saw that. How
Well,
do you get service here?
okay, that was a good comment. I'll give you that one, Trey. However, you can usually look at photos without service. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, that's true. He got you there. Well, look, I just want to go over a couple of my favorite moments in this movie.
There we go.
I think, I mean, the Kung Lao sawing that chick in half. I mean, that was just so awesome. It was so brutal. It was so cool, and
They showed him for a long time.
yeah, it was brutal. It was cool. The effects
My-
looked really good on that one.
My beautiful angel,
Yeah.
or whatever.
It
was
You're
weird.
beneath me.
It was like it's like they let the one of the Saw directors direct for that scene. Like,
Yeah, just
hey,
that
let me
one
do
alone.
this part.
Yeah, I got this.
Yes.
Wait in your trailer. I got this. But that was great. A lot of the cool scenes, we saw some of it in the trailer, but like Sub-Zero with the ice, which by the way, in the trailer you just see him put the ice up and then pull it down on the street when he first shows up, and Cole, they're eating the family. The family's eating ice cream, and he does that. In the movie, it was actually cooler because it shows there's like it's snowing, and then when he like freezes the snow and then brings it up, and the way the music kind of like it kind of did that thing, that was very cool. And that's when we really first time we really see Sub-Zero as Sub-Zero. You know, like real using his powers. They made him like a straight up like they made him scary. Like I mean, he was. I mean, they almost overdid it sometimes. He was like Jason from Friday the 13th. At one point, when the girl's like, "We just got to get out of here. I'm afraid this place isn't safe," and she goes into the bathroom, and when she comes out, the music literally did like a classic boom, and he's like standing in the doorway. I was like, okay, you overdid it there, but he really did remind me of like an '80s slasher villain or something.
Yeah.
And then also we gotta say it. You remember in King Kong vs. Godzilla when Godzilla, you know, charges up the axe and then King Kong goes apeshit, pun intended, on Mechagodzilla? You kind of knew it was going to happen, but it was awesome when it did. When Sub-Zero shows up and the way they enter, we finally get to see Scorpion. When we finally get to see Scorpion in the final scene, the way they did it was great, where that's when we really see him do the get over here thing. Because, you know, when all of a sudden the kunai or like the throwing knife just stabs through his shoulder and Sub-Zero's like, what the hell? And then he's there. Yeah. I mean, what an introduction. That was awesome.
That was great.
That was a great moment.
I agree with you. And I just wanted to say, like, the soundtrack actually impressed me a lot. I actually... There were some good beats, some good bops.
Yeah, it was notable. And that first, like you guys said, that opening, that 10-minute opening, I mean, that thing, it almost felt like a different movie in a way. And I think it's because we didn't get into some of the more crazy stuff. It was just that scene. But when he starts fighting and he's just kicking ass and breaks the guy's neck and stuff, and the music came in, I was like, this is awesome. I mean, first impression, like you said, was amazing. Like that first 10 minutes gets you just going, woo.
Yeah.
Here's another nitpick about that opening scene. You know how he kills like 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, and they always show 3 or 4 more people watching him kill them? Are they just wanting to commit suicide? Are they having a death wish? Why would any of them want to go after him after he just saw their buddy get a sword or a little knife on a rope put through their buddy's face and slammed to the ground?
Hey, it's not a
bunch of them are idiots. Are they brain dead like zombie soldiers?
It's not a kung fu movie unless all the bad guys only fight the guy one-on-one. They all wait until one guy dies. It's my turn.
No. He was fighting 3 or 4 at a time. What movie are you watching? He took out like 3 or 4 in one fell swoop.
Well, what's the point you're making?
Why are they keeping on coming? They just saw all their buddies get slaughtered when he didn't break a sweat. Why would they even try? Why would they just run away and then hit? It would have been cooler to see them try to run away and save themselves and him throw a knife in the back
of
their skull.
Back.
It's a trope.
I did not like that. I did not like that at all. I'm like, how stupid are these people, like soldiers? Like, what? I thought that was dumb, like way dumb.
That's true. But that's like every action movie. Not that that's an excuse, but it is. It's just so common. I didn't think about it.
I'm just saying, like they made you sure you saw them in the background watching their buddies get slaughtered. That's that. I've never seen that before. Like they're like in front row seat. All right, my turn. Let's go.
Let me grab a hoagie out of my purse.
Hey, listen. That's every video game ever, to be honest. I like it, not getting a hoagie out, but the way combat is played out in a lot of games.
Yeah,
you know.
Oh man, I get it. I get it. I just thought it was funny. They really made sure you saw them watching in the background behind the tree. Oh, hey John, it's our turn. Like,
yeah.
Little bastards. Like, what the hell?
Well, I guess we can. Well, we kind of talked about the ending, but like as far as I guess what was his name? Liu Kang. Liu Kang. His
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage. Yeah.
John...
No, Liu Kang. his I kind of well, it's not really the ending, but I really did like. I kind of liked his story about him and Kung Lao, how they kind of grew up together, and I was kind of sad whenever Kung Lao died, and Liu Kang was like, "I should have died. Like, if we were gonna
Yeah.
die, like we had to die together." Not,
I hope we
he
get
was
to
all
see
about kind of
them.
destiny.
I hope we get to
Another
see
nitpick.
them back to back tag team kind of match, like fighting in the next movie.
Yeah,
He needs to
yeah, I
come
think
back.
so.
That was weak.
Well, the weird
That-
thing is in the games, a very classic thing is that Liu Kang dies in the story, and it's like a big deal. So it's interesting that he didn't die and the other guy did.
Yeah,
it's just one of those tropes, that scene where he's right there. He has the ability to throw a fireball, and the soul is right there,
It was
and it's all in slow
yeah.
motion. It's like, come on, why
I
he could have saved him,
he
or
should
could
have
have
got
tried. It could,
he should have gotten there as his body fell instead of it. Yeah, because he
yeah,
got there and they dragged it a little too long, where the soul
yeah, yeah,
the soul
yep.
sucks up, like egg drop soup
Yeah.
right into that guy's mouth, and
I I did not like that one bit. Like, I'm like, throw a fireball. At least show him trying to save his cousin, and him failing. Like, but they didn't. He just stood there and watched for like a couple seconds. Like, come on, so stupid, man.
we gotta get a
Like,
Film
he's a
Schmucks t-shirt.
professional.
We gotta get a film.
I-
Go ahead.
We go over this over and over. Like, I know I say every week. These are professional. Like, Tom and Jerry started it. It's Hollywood. What the hell is going on? You're professionals. You should know this looks shitty. You should know this is bad. How do you let this fall through the cracks?
They know a
like, I don't
formula,
get it.
and it's a big.
What?
They just know the formula. Hey, do these things, and maybe we'll make our money back.
Well, you know what? They should stop using the baby formula and use some big, the
Use
good
some
stuff.
breast milk and get this baby.
Yeah,
going.
the real stuff. Like, come on.
No, I was gonna
It's
say
making me mad.
we need to get a Film Schmucks t-shirt with Trey on it, going like making a face, and it just says, "I did not like that one bit."
My God.
I am gonna work there. I realize there's so many times where you'll either shit on a movie in some way, or you'll warn the audience not to watch it. It's been so many reviews, so I'm gonna wait probably till the end of the year, but I really want to make a compilation of all the times Trey warned you not to watch a movie.
Okay, I
Well-
love that idea, but this is not this is not the time.
You're right.
I think I recommend this movie. I like, I was like, what? Are we ready to go?
I can
Yes.
wrap it.
On that note, Trey, final thoughts.
Let me set up so I can breathe properly. All right, boys and girls, let's go back to class. There's a lot of negatives to this movie, and my overall final thoughts is, if you want some action, Amanda, she sat down, she heard some action. I told her it's rated R, it's bloody, violent. She's like, I don't want to watch it. 20 minutes in, after the emotional stuff, she comes in and sits down for the rest of the movie. She liked it. So she even liked the blood and the violence. I'm like, ooh, okay, that's a little crazy. But point being is, if you want to have some throwing the popcorn in the face fun, this is your movie. I mean, plain and simple. But if you're wanting to analyze it and go through it with nitpicks like me and Matt, I mean, this is not your movie, because there's a lot of nitpicks. But I had some laughs. I had some fun. I definitely recommend watching it just for it's short. It's an hour 40 minutes for not including credits. So could have been better. Could have been a lot worse. Can't wait for the sequel. There we go.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trey kind of knocked it out of the park there. I felt like I echoed most of his views there. I'd say it starts off strong. It's fun. It's a fun movie. It's similar to my Godzilla vs. King Kong review. You can nitpick it, and this is stupid, and that's stupid, and there's a lot of weird things, but goddamn, I had a fun time watching it, and that's the whole point. And maybe it's because of the virus and all that, and coming out, and these big blockbusters coming out now, and like well, for me, going to the theater, and it's like it feels like we're getting this taste of like, oh, some classic big film, blockbuster films being made. But you know, it's it won't disappoint you. It may not knock it out of the park for you. It might not be the best, you know, wow, I didn't expect them to make, but you're going to see a Mortal Kombat movie. And I was going to go see a Mortal Kombat movie. I thought this is going to be pretty shitty, but maybe it'll have some cool fights. It ended up being pretty good and having some cool fights. And I didn't expect that. So the movie was better than expected. I would recommend go see it. It's a fun time.
Yeah, kind of the same thoughts. I think, especially after Mortal Kombat Annihilation, this movie is an Oscar nomination. I mean, we got to do we got to do a review on Annihilation someday. I feel like because we need to have like a series of like bad movie reviews because that's one of the most legendary bad films of all time.
Yeah.
But I digress. This movie didn't really have to clear that high of a hurdle for me. I just wanted cool fights and good violence, and I got that. And I also got some serviceable acting. Definitely some cheesy moments, but the acting never distracted me too much. It always got me to that really cool fight. And I think the pace overall was pretty solid. Some slow parts, and sometimes it would rush way too much. There were times it could have breathed a little bit. But overall, this is definitely a film that made me excited to see a sequel. And I think that's about as good as I could have ever expected from this. And I can't wait to see what happens next. And with that, Trey, do you want to send us out? Oh, wait. Do we want to shout out that comment that you mentioned, Matt?
I don't know if you guys saw the recent comment on the Parasite video, which was my most controversial video. This is the comment of the week from Macy Custodio. It says, "Your friends are too nice, Matt. Your thoughts mostly don't make sense."
Oh my god!
And I wanted to post something funny. I looked. It looks like a middle-aged mom. So I don't know what's going on with my film review career.
Wait, do you
God.
know this person?
I have no idea who it is. I think they just found our Parasite video and they didn't like what Papa had to say about it.
Oh my god! Are you sparing the video? I love this comment. It's the best comment we've ever gotten.
I know.
I love it.
I know. I had to. I was thinking. I saw it at work, and it was making me laugh. And I was gonna try to think of like what would be like a funny like comeback or something, and I couldn't think of one because the more I read the comment, the more funny it was. It was just like a fun. Because you know why it was? It's great. It's not. It's not overly insulting. It's just kind of like. It's like polite. It's like politely insulting. Like they're trying not to be too mean.
Oh my god!
But it does sound like somebody. It sounds like somebody who knows me or something. You know what I mean?
Or us, somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was one of Sterling's pals or what.
But it says to you, it says, Matt, your friends are too nice to you. I love how specific it is.
I know, which is weird because that means they watched the video, got acquainted with us as people, and then shit on
Yeah.
me. I mean, come on. Yeah, but your thoughts mostly don't make sense is pretty funny. I'm gonna print that one out and put it on the fridge because you guys were getting shit left and right, and then it was like, well, I guess nostalgia called me out before, but this was just a plain Jane random comment. Your thoughts mostly don't make sense.
Oh my god, my spirits have been risen. Thank you.
I know Easter Sunday already passed, but it is risen. We're back to it, baby.
Oh, Stacy's mom, I love you. I cannot wait to meet you. Oh, she's got it going on in the comments, baby.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. Well, anyway.
Sterling's getting more and more uncomfortable down there.
I know. He loves a good meal.
Hey, Hey.
I'm not gonna use this. I'm not gonna use this part real quick, but I have to say, Sterling, do you remember that time?
Please use it.
No, I won't use it. I won't use it. But I just want to say, Sterling, do you remember the time in college when I told you were talking about like you were talking about how you liked MILFs or something in porn or something like that, and I said,
Sounds like
so you must be a fan of. I said you must be a fan of Lisa Ann, and he was like, who? Do tell. And I said, oh, there's a porn star named Lisa Ann. She's like the #1 in the planet or whatever. And I showed a picture. He went off for spring break. When he came back, he had bags under his eyes. His hair he hadn't showered in weeks. His wrist was about 3 times thicker. I mean, it was crazy.
You're recording. Please stop. You're recording. This is so
I am
great.
recording, but I won't use that story unless you want me to.
Why? This is such great
I don't
material,
want to
Matt.
embarrass him.
Oh my god.
I'll give you the director's cut of this episode, and then you guys tell me whether you should keep it in.
I've been embarrassing myself for 4 weeks straight being a heel. All right, I've been taking this mantle on personally.
Well, Trey, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, this was probably the most cordial review we've had for a while, I think. We all kind of have similar sentiments about it. It was fun. Hey, I'm glad you're all here. I mean, comment, tell us how much you love Mortal Kombat and how you can't wait for there's another one, or how bad it was, because there's been some good discussion on this one, because we had some nitpicks and we had some fun with it. Stay tuned for next week. I think next week is Knives Out, unless there's another blockbuster. But yeah, Knives Out.
Oh,
one of my favorite movies in the last 5 years. So that'll be fun. Come back.
spoiler alert.
Watch that, and come back and watch that with us, and watch our review. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe, like. We will see you next time on the Films. Woo!
Got it.
That was bad.
Yeah, what do you think?
Worse.